When you are admitted to a hospital, they place on your wrist a white wristband with your name on it. But there are other different colored wristbands which symbolize other things. The red wristbands are placed on dead people. There was a surgeon who worked on night shift in a school hospital. He had just finished an operation and was on his way down to the basement. He entered the elevator and there was just one other person there. He casually chatted with the woman while the elevator descended. When the elevator door opened, another woman was about to enter when the doctor slammed the close button and punched the button to the highest floor. Surprised, the woman reprimanded the doctor for being rude and asked why he did not let the other woman in. The doctor said, "That was the woman I just operated on. She died while I was doing the operation. Didn't you see the red wristband she was wearing?" The woman smiled, raised her arm, and said, "Something like this." There was a slight stench of dried blood in the air. The doctor froze, paralyzed by fear. He could feel the beads of sweat slowly trickle down his face. He tried to open the elevator doors, but the lights flashed out. The only thing he could see was the red wristband and the patient's bright red eyes. There was a sudden snapping sound, and the elevator started to free fall. In between the elevator doors, you could see a flash of light every time they passed a floor. The slivers of light shone through onto the patient. She was no longer wearing a robe. She wasn't even a she anymore. It was a shadow figure. It started to crack and creak as it moved towards the doctor. He was trapped in the corner. Nowhere to run, no one to hear him scream. The figure got closer with every flash of light. The doctor looked away and never looked back. But at the last moment, the elevator came to an abrupt stop. The lights were still out, but he could feel the shadowy figure breathing on him. He slowly turned his head, and as soon as he locked his eyes with the empty red eyes of the figure, he blacked out. He woke up in a daze, lying in a hospital bed, wearing blue robes. He looked around frantically. Why was he in a bed? How did he get out of the elevator? The nurse was writing some notes down on a clipboard. She looked up and noticed he was awake. "Oh, you're awake? Good." He could barely speak. With all his might, he spat out, "What happened?" She pulled a couple of papers out of a folder and read, "Well, some workers found you knocked out in the elevator. No permanent damage, just heat stroke. You'll be fine, don't worry." The doctor let out a sigh of relief. It was all just a dream. Nothing happened at all. The nurse put the papers back in the folder but stopped immediately as she looked at him. Her eyes bulged out of her head. She slowly stepped backwards out of the room. She ran out down the hall, slamming the door behind her. He was in a state of paralysis again. Why did she do that? What's going on? He looked around at his torso, his feet, to his right. Then his eyes locked on his wrist. There it was, a red wristband.